Would you risk it all for love? Hey, I'm Nia. Welcome back to another writing vlog. Today I'll be working on Project Fortune, and if you're new here, Project Fortune is the first in a fantasy series that I'm working on. Today I'm going to be going over some tips about how to craft a romance for your story. If you're unsure where to start when crafting the romance for your story, look to books and movies and shows. Do your research. Use your favorite ships as inspiration. Make a list of the ships that you enjoy, what about them you like, and the moments that stick out to you as important. I used to watch Arrow on the CW, for example, and I really liked Oliver and Felicity, especially in the beginning when they're still getting to know each other. Felicity is obviously attracted to Oliver, which makes her nervous and causes her to have little slips where her inside thoughts get said on the outside. Oliver doesn't make her feel weird or get mad about it, despite at the time not reciprocating those feelings. Instead, he tries his best to make her feel comfortable and sometimes teases her back. These small moments, which could easily be downplayed as comedic relief, end up becoming the foundation for the trust that grows between them. You get better at writing by reading. Bookmark scenes when you're reading. Ones that you like, ones that give you that giddy feeling, ones that wreck you emotionally.
Analyze the way the authors execute these scenes. How are they structured? How are they paced? In what ways is tension added? Think about the specific things you enjoy when reading romance books or scenes. What kind of dialogue do you like? What descriptors? What's the physicality of the characters like? Once you have a general idea of who the couple are, it's time to brainstorm. What kind of romance is it? Using trigger words to define it can help you out, like rom-com, toxic, childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance, etc. and so forth. How does the romance intertwine with the greater plot or the other plots happening in the story? Think about the important moments. Moments like a first impression or meeting, the first kiss, the first fight, etc. Foundational moments like building trust, learning about each other, providing support, so on and so forth. You can decide what your moments are, but remember that they exist to progress the relationship. Keep in mind that no relationship is perfect. What are reasonable conflicts, big and small, internal and external, that the couple could experience? Relationships need flaws because the people in them have flaws. This lends an element of realism to these love stories and makes them feel relatable. Outline an arc for the romance. Create a romance blueprint. Pick moments from your favorite ships to create a generic outline. I want to emphasize that I don't mean copying or plagiarizing a story. You're pulling inspiration from one or many sources to create your outline. If you're only using one source, your story, characters, and plot can and should be unique to you. There's many stories that follow the hero's journey, for example, but are completely different. When doing this, you want to strip away the specifics pertaining to the story. I'll use the live-action Cinderella as an example. You know the story. It's a fairy tale about a girl with an evil stepfamily who treat her poorly, and she sneaks off to a ball one night. Here's an example using the scene in which Cinderella meets Kit. Main character meets love interest, element of anonymity on both parts allowing freedom from preconceived notions based on reputations. Positive first impression, attraction on both parts, followed by a more intimate moment/conversation that reveals insight into the core values and creates romantic interest and elevates attraction. One of the characters must suddenly leave, blah 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 blah. You're notating the bare bones of what the beat is and breaking it down to its core parts. You can do this with an overarching story or a scene. As your story forms, you'll discover more about your characters, so it's fine for the outline to adapt to the changes. Here are some other general tips I wanted to mention. Not every romance in the story holds the same importance, nor will they require the same attention. To use TV terms, the star story gets more screen time than a supporting character. You should have as much fun writing the romance as you do reading romance. Make yourself giddy, blush, kick your feet. Don't be afraid to try things out. Never wonder if you're going too far or doing too much. A first draft is for the enjoyment of the writer. Anything can be cut later if you don't like it. Speaking of, keep in mind the things that you dislike in romance plots, books, scenes, whatever. If there's something you don't like reading, then you won't like writing it, which will affect your motivation to write. Don't include those things. Additionally, if you catch yourself falling into cliches, it's fine to use them as a placeholder. I do it all the time, and I always come up with something better during rewrites. Lastly, if the joy is gone and you're experiencing writer's block, take that as a cue that something is wrong. Your plot isn't working. You need to go back over what you've written to find out what that is and fix it. In this next part, I'm going to briefly go over a few romance plots that have stuck with me. This part contains spoilers for the Trial series by Amanda Hocking and the Black Mage series by Rachel E. Carter. The Trial series by Amanda Hocking follows Wendy, a girl with persuasion abilities who learns that she's a changeling, a fae switched at birth into a human family for protection. Not only is she not human, but she's a troll princess. After an attempt on her life, she's whisked away to her true home for safety in order to learn how to use her powers and to prepare for the throne she'll one day inherit. Along the way, she meets Finn, a stoic royal guard, and Loki, a prince from an enemy country. As she fights to save her country, she must navigate her feelings for these two boys.
This is one of my favorite romance plots. I read these books like 10 or 15 years ago when I was in middle or high school, and the romance plot has stuck with me all this time. I can't recall many other details about the series. What I do recall is how I felt reading these books. The author did a fantastic job investing the readers in both relationships. Wendy truly could have gone either way, and as a reader, while it's assumed that she'll end up with Finn based on the patterns of most YA love triangles, Loki is treated just as much as a valuable option.
The deterioration of Wendy and Finn's relationship is also handled in a way that took aspects of their personalities that were incompatible and magnified them to the point that they would either have to change together to make the relationship work, or it would break them up. Meanwhile, when Wendy and Loki had disagreements, they would communicate and figure out solutions together. Don't get me wrong, Loki was not some perfect person who could do no wrong, but comparatively, he was usually more mature. So when Wendy chooses to be with Loki, it's surprising because it breaks expectations, but it's earned and satisfying. The Black Mage series by Rachel E. Carter follows Raya, an aspiring combat mage. She must compete with all of her first-year classmates for one of the limited apprenticeships while dealing with living in a country at war. Prince Darren is the school's prodigy and her biggest academic rival, and she'll do anything to beat him. Over the course of the book series, Rye and Darren's relationship shifts and changes, grows and regresses. Their relationship is complicated, but to sum it up in tropes, it's a rivals to lovers that turns into a lovers to enemies.
As a reader, you root for them to be together, but there are genuine obstacles, some of which are life-threatening, that keep them apart, and the tension created in each escalation of events makes you wonder time and time again how they could possibly overcome what's happened to be together.
When I queried my first draft, some feedback I received for Project Fortune was that I needed a romance arc within the main characters. At the time, I had a supporting character who was in a secret relationship, but that was it.
When I started Project Fortune, I had no romance pairings in mind, and even after adding some, they were all for supporting characters. This is a fantasy first and foremost that deals with themes of prejudice and injustice, nature and destruction, ambition at the cost of well-being, etc. I remained open to discovering possible pairings as I created the work, but it wasn't my focus during Draft 1. Once I figured out the romance arcs I wanted for the main characters, while outlining for Draft 2, I had to find moments where I could organically add those moments in and flesh out the ones that already existed.
Conversely, With Project Rose, I went into that with the romance arc at the forefront. It's the main plot line, and all the events revolve around the transition of the main couple from lovers to enemies and the socio-political fallout that occurs. Meanwhile, with Project Brownstone, I have a few love interests in mind for the main character, but I'm still unsure which one will be endgame. Remember, it's fine to implement the tips that you find helpful and leave the rest behind. To recap, use comparable romances as inspiration and analyze what about them works. Create an outline of the romance arc and how it fits into the overarching plot. Give your couple flaws and their relationship conflicts. Have fun writing. If you're not, it might indicate plot holes that need fixing. It's fine to use cliches as placeholders to maintain your writing momentum. You can always edit a bad page, but not a blank page, so keep writing.
Comment below which tips you found most helpful. If you really like this series, check out my other writing vlogs and keep a lookout for my next one. You can also check out my reading journals and my bullet journal videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!